You're late, my mom declared, her voice cutting through the crisp morning air as she hauled her suitcase onto the porch. I flicked my eyes to the dashboard clock. 6:02 a.m. 2 measly minutes past the mark. Mom, I said, plastering on a grin as I climbed out of the car to grab her bag. But then I froze. My sister, Sophie, sauntered out of the house, suitcase in tow. Her smug little smirk already digging under my skin. What's going on? I asked, forcing my tone to stay even. Mom spun toward me, her face glowing with a cheerfulness that felt wildly out of place. Oh, Emma, we decided Sophie should come instead. She's been so stressed lately, she needs this trip. My chest tightened like a vice. Instead of me? Mom, I said. Words sharp despite my effort to stay calm. I've been planning this for years. I paid for everything. She waved me off, like I'd just mentioned a spilled coffee instead of a gut punch. And we're so grateful, sweetheart. But you're always working so hard, you can take another trip later. Sophie needs this now. Sophie didn't even bother faking remorse. She just smirked, shifting her weight to one hip. Thanks for understanding, sis, she used, her voice dripping with crocodile tears. I stared at them, my pulse hammering. Dad shuffled out a moment later, avoiding my gaze as he handed me his suitcase, like I was the family bellhop. This is unreal, I muttered, voice trembling. This was our trip, something I wanted to share with you. Mom beamed, oblivious. It still is, just with Sophie instead. Don't make a fuss, Emma. Your sister needs a break. My name's Emma, and for 2 years, I poured my soul into this, working overtime, pinching pennies, planning every detail of a dream trip for my parents. Flights, 5-star hotels, private tours, I'd mapped it all out, down to the last dessert. But standing there in their driveway, watching Sophie slide into my car's back seat, it hit me like a freight train. No matter how much I gave, Sophie would always be their golden child. I clenched my jaw, swallowing the venom I wanted to spit. Instead, I forced a tight smile and popped the trunk. Let's get moving, I said, my voice flat as asphalt. If they wanted to choose her, fine, they could have her. But I'd be damned if they got to enjoy my trip. The drive to the airport was a suffocating silence, broken only by Sophie's incessant babbling. Oh my God, Mom. Did you see that TikTok about Paris? I have to go shopping there. Will we have time, or will the tours eat up the whole day? My knuckles whitened on the steering wheel as I stared ahead, biting my cheek to keep quiet. Mom chuckled. Of course we'll make time, sweetie. We'll figure it out when we get there. When we get there. That we didn't include me anymore. And they didn't even notice. Dad finally piped up, clearing his throat. Thanks for driving us, Emma. I know this probably feels weird. I caught his eyes in the rearview mirror. Weird's one way to put it, Dad, I said dryly. He shifted in his seat, clearly regretting he'd opened his mouth. Sophie leaned forward, her voice grating like nails on a chalkboard. You're not mad, right? I mean, this is huge of you letting me go. I could never afford this. I forced another smile, teeth gritted. Enjoy it, Sophie. By the time we hit the airport drop-off, my patience was a frayed thread. I hauled their bags out and Mom pulled me into a hug. Thanks for understanding, sweetheart. This means so much to us and to Sophie. I nodded stiffly. Sure, Mom. Sophie flashed a grin as she wheeled her suitcase toward the terminal. You're the best, Emma. I watched them vanish inside, my chest a tangle of fury and hurt. The ride home blurred past. Their words looped in my head, slicing deeper each time. This means so much to Sophie. You're not mad, right? You're always working so hard. I parked, gripped the wheel until my knuckles ached, then stormed inside. Without hesitation, I yanked open my laptop and logged into every travel account. Hotel bookings, canceled. Tours, refunded. Flight upgrades, gone. Confirmation emails flooded my inbox and the knot in my chest loosened. They wanted Sophie? Fine. But they weren't sipping champagne in Paris on my dime. When their flight landed, my phone erupted. Missed calls, texts, Mom's name flashing like a siren. Emma, what's going on? The hotel won't let us check in. This isn't funny. Fix it now. A laugh slipped out before I could stop it. Fix it. They really thought I'd swoop in like always. Then Sophie's voicemail. Emma, this is so petty. We're stuck because of you. Call the hotel and fix it. I deleted it mid-sentence, rolling my eyes. 4 years I'd been their safety net, smoothing every mess. Not this time. Eventually I picked up. Mom's voice hit me like a tidal wave. Emma, what did you do? The hotel says the reservation's gone, the tours, everything's canceled. I let her vent, then said coolly, I canceled them. A stunned silence stretched out before she hissed. Why would you do that? Oh, I don't know, I shot back, sarcasm dripping. Maybe because you hijacked my trip? You're lucky I didn't cancel the flights too. We thought you'd understand, she snapped. Understand what? That my years of effort meant nothing because Sophie needed a break? I don't, Mom. And I'm done. I hung up, tossed my phone on the couch, and let the silence wash over me. Bliss. It lasted a day. By morning the barrage resumed. Text from Mom. Emma, you've gone too far. Sophie's in tears, Dad's furious. Sophie. You're acting like a kid. Just fix it. Dad. We need to talk. This isn't right. I shook my head, sipping tea as their guilt trips piled up. They'd always relied on me to cave, to fix their chaos. Not anymore. When Mom called again, I answered. Emma. This isn't funny, she barked. We're stranded. Do you know how embarrassing this is? I savored my tea. Embarrassing? Try planning a dream trip and getting replaced last minute. Stop being dramatic, she snapped. Sophie needed this more. Then she can figure it out, I said firmly. You chose her. Don't expect me to bankroll it. We're family, she hissed. We don't do this. I laughed bitterly. Funny, I was thinking the same thing. Sophie whined in the background. Mom, hang up. She's impossible. That did it. Enjoy your trip, I said. Ice in my voice. Oh wait, you can't. It was mine. Goodbye. I hung up, shut off my phone, and sank into the quiet. Anger simmered, but relief bloomed too. I'd finally drawn a line. For days, I ignored them. With my phone off, I cleaned, worked, breathed. By day 3, curiosity won, I switched it on. Voicemails flooded in. Mom hysterical. Emma, you've humiliated us. Sophie entitled. You're ruining everything. Dad quiet. I don't understand what's happened to you. The last one, from Mom, was softer, exhausted. We're back at the airport. The trip's ruined. I hope you're happy. Call when you're ready. I deleted them all. This wasn't a one-off, it was years of them choosing Sophie, expecting me to smile through it. I was done. That night, my friend Mia dropped by with coffee and a grin. Heard about the drama. Your mom called me yesterday. I groaned. Of course she did. What did you say? She smirked. Told her you were busy and would call when you felt like it. I laughed. You're the best. No, you are, she said, serious now. You finally stood up for yourself. Don't let them pull you back. Her words stuck with me. She was right. I'd spent too long chasing their approval. It was time to stop. By Sunday, Dad called. Emma, he started, weary, this has gotten out of hand. Mom's upset. Sophie's furious. You're better than this. I bristled. Better than what? Not letting you steamroll me. That's not, he began, but I cut in. No, Dad. You replaced me on my trip. Was that fair? We thought Sophie needed it more, he said defensively. You always do, I snapped. And I'm always the one who sacrifices. Not anymore. Silence. Then I don't know what you want. I want you to see I'm not an afterthought, I said. Goodbye, Dad. I hung up, hands shaking but resolute. When they returned, I was at their house, sipping coffee on the porch swing. They climbed out of the taxi, exhaustion etched on their faces. Sophie glared. Hope you're happy, Emma. I raised an eyebrow. Happy about what? Our trip was a disaster, Mom snapped. Dingy hotels, awful food, no tours. Sophie chimed in, it was humiliating. I set my mug down. Sounds tough. But you wanted Sophie, right? Great bonding time. You knew we couldn't afford it. Mom accused. You set us up. No, I said, standing. I planned a trip for us. You cut me out. Why should I fund your vacation? Dad muttered, canceling everything was extreme. Was it? I shot back. You're lucky I left the flights. Sophie rolled her eyes. You're so dramatic. It's just money. And you're entitled, I fired back. Do you know how hard I worked for that? Or do you think it just falls from the sky? They stared, speechless. I'm done being your fixer, I said. You didn't want me on the trip? Fine. But you don't get my effort either. I grabbed my bag and left, their protests fading behind me. Weeks later, I booked a solo trip to Italy. Not to spite them, just for me. Landing in Rome, I felt alive. No schedules. No guilt trips, just cobblestone streets, gelato, and freedom. One night in Florence, over dinner by the Arno, I wrote in my journal, learn Italian. Start a business. Travel more. My dreams. Unfiltered. Back home, Mom texted, hope your trip was nice. Can we talk? I didn't reply, not yet. When she called later, I answered. We handled it poorly, she admitted. I know, I said. It's not just the trip. It's years of this. We'll try harder, she promised. I hope so, I replied. But it's on you now. Months on, I've set boundaries. I hike, take photos, plan trips for me. They can change or not. I'm free finally, and that's enough.